My name is Helen Schwenken. I am Professor for Migration and Sociology at IMIS and in the SFB.
Hello, my name is Homaira Rahnoma. I'm working as a doctoral researcher at the SFB and the IMIS.
Not with us today is our third team member, Dr. Nath Paudel, who is currently doing fieldwork in Nepal. In our B3 project on gender differentiating migration policies, we are interested in the production of migration in countries of origin, in emigration processes, and second, from a gender perspective. So in emigration countries in South Asia, where we're looking at, there are emigration restrictions. Although countries promote emigration and like the return of remittances, we have restrictions. For example, in the case of India, there are two passports. And one passport says like everybody who would like to emigrate to certain countries, in particular in the Gulf countries, has to fulfill certain conditions and ask for permission. And this is directed mainly at low-skilled and low-educated persons. For women, there are additional restrictions. So especially for young women below the age of 25, for example, in the case of India, they are banned from emigrating to, for example, the Gulf countries. So we are interested in how these bans are negotiated and the restrictions as part of the migration infrastructure are contested or non-contested. We look at two countries, Nepal and India, and while in India these restrictions are not that much discussed, in Nepal we have situations where the bans are lifted and just a couple of months later reintroduced to protect women. So we look at the stability and instability of the migration infrastructure to regulate migration in a gendered differentiated way.
So I'm going to talk about the migration infrastructure that nurses have to emigrate through. And the nursing profession in India has been the most recent one that has been included into the immigration clearance system, for which nurses have to provide specific documents to obtain an immigration clearance or a permission to immigrate abroad for work. So the migration infrastructure has different components and actors who mediate basically the immigration of an individual. And in the cases for nurses, it starts right at the colleges. The nursing colleges have meanwhile adopted international curricula and they produce nurses for different international markets. Those colleges, or some of them, are also collaborating with different other actors of the migration and infrastructure, such as the recruitment agencies. And then, as a consequence, recruitment agencies approach nurses even before they have graduated. Then there are different other components of the migration infrastructure that come at a later stage, like the policies or where nurses work, like the hospitals. And depending on the region, there are two main regions to which nurses emigrate. One is the OECD countries and another are the Gulf countries. The migration route depends, and also the actors who mediate the migration routes. And then there is one last path. This is the irregular route on which there is not as much knowledge as on the other two routes.
In our project, we do empirical field work, which includes interviews and observations. We also do media and discourse analysis. In our B3 project, we're interested in the stability and instability and the negotiations between the different actors and forms of the migration infrastructure. And we look at what becomes a problem to be regulated, when becomes gender a problem, or how are caste and class relations negotiated and come up in these societal discussions about emigration.